Hi, my name is Tori Shendel Cox. I'm the Virginia G. Schrader Curator of Art at the Evansville Museum. And today I'm so excited to have Marie here from the Cal Academy Science in California. And Marie, please take it from here.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and everybody else about the work that we're doing at the California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco. I'm a curatorial assistant in the geology department, and I've worked there for about 2 years. So myself and along with our other curatorial assistant assist the geology collections manager with the care and conservation of our collection. Our collection includes fossil vertebrates and invertebrates, minerals, foraminifera, which are just little tiny microfossils, and diatoms, which are single-celled algae. And so, yeah, like I said, I've been there since 2018, and I started out part-time, but about a year ago, I became full-time with some funding from an NSF OCE Ocean Sciences grant, which I'll get into a little bit later. So a lot of my work is data entry. I think I have a lot of friends that have said, how can you work from home right now when, you have to be in front of a specimen and you have to look at the specimens? But trust me, a lot of it is just looking at Google Sheets all day. um, so we do a lot of digitization in our department. And this doesn't necessarily just mean taking photographs of our specimens, although that is really important. And we do have a geology Flickr page, which I would encourage everybody to go check out. If you just search in Google California Academy of Sciences Geology Flickr, you should find it right away. So it does include a lot of photos from our collection. So our digitization includes entering both specimen data and locality data. So in geology, it's really important for us to know where something came from, who collected it, and when it was collected. And this data is also served to larger data aggregators such as GBIF. So we really want to make all of our data available both to the larger research community and to the public. So you can go onto GBIF and see what we've been doing. And some other tasks that I do when I'm not in front of my computer are giving collections tours, tabling specimens at Academy events such as our weekly Thursday night nightlife events, which are now going online. So I would encourage you to get on Facebook and find some of our nightlifes that'll be online for the foreseeable future. We also table at some public outreaches. Last year for the spring break period, we had a spring festival called Dino Days. So we brought out a lot of specimens and were able to show off some dinosaur specimens to kids and their families, which was really fun. Everybody always loves seeing dinosaurs. We also bring specimens to other institutions. I've tabled specimens before at Lindsay Wildlife Experience in Walnut Creek, which is where I used to work. We always have a couple cases at the San Francisco Gem and Mineral Show, which also takes place in Golden Gate Park. So we bring our minerals specimens to that. We also work a lot with our exhibits department. We had to move an exhibit last year of minerals. So we had to take everything off exhibit, condition report and photograph over 100 mineral specimens, and then moved the exhibit to a new location. So that was actually like really fun, and got to just, look at some pretty shiny things for a few weeks, which you can't go wrong with that. And we're also preparing right now to open a new collections gallery exhibit next year. That will be all of our collecting departments will be represented in that gallery. So we're just working on selecting some stories and specimens from our collection right now. And additionally, I will rehouse specimens as needed. So a lot of our specimens are stored in paper trays that are kind of falling apart, not in the best conditions. So we want to make sure that we transfer all of our specimens to acid-free trays and transfer them from plastic vials to glass vials. So I think a lot of people kind of think like, oh, it's just a rock or it's just a fossil. Like, what can go wrong? What can happen? It's kind of just sitting there on a shelf, and whatever. But you know, environmental controls are still very important for geological collections. Things like temperature and humidity and light can really affect both fossils and minerals. Especially light can fade certain types of minerals, so we do want to make sure that you know, our specimens are preserved for future generations to study, and that they're preserved in the best condition that we can. So we are always making sure that our environmental controls are as, you know, as good as we can make them. And yeah, I was just going to go over a couple of the grants that we have right now. So we have a grant from the NSF called the Eastern Pacific Invertebrate Communities of the Cenozoic, or EPIC for short, which is a lot easier to say. It's a partnership of 9 natural history museums up and down the West Coast here. And we're working together to digitize marine invertebrate fossils found in the Eastern Pacific. These specimens span the last 66 million years of life of Earth's history. And during the course of this grant, we're working to make 1.6 million specimen records available online through digital data and photographs. And we're also georeferencing thousands of localities, aiming for 35,000 localities. So that'll be something that we'll be working on from home during this time. Is just, you know, we can't really do a lot of specimen data entry right now, but we can do georeferencing from home. That just requires an internet connection. So we're just by doing this collaboration with other institutions and utilizing our collections, we can reconstruct entire marine ecosystems from the past, which is really cool. So researchers use this data to understand how marine ecosystems responded to and recovered from a number of events in Earth's history, including the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum and the transition to the modern icehouse climate approximately 2.5 million years ago. So by understanding the past climate change of Earth, we can better forecast and predict our future. So, you know, you really have to look to the past to try to predict and understand future climate change, which is a lot of the work that we do. And then our other big grant that we have right now, which is also an NSF grant, the Ocean Sciences grant I mentioned previously. So I am overseeing 1 volunteer and have assisted a couple students last year, and we'll have hopefully some more students coming this summer from UC Davis, which is one of the organizations we're partnering with right now. So we are utilizing our microfossil collection to construct assemblages, which researchers are using this data to inform future predictions for these ecosystems in the face of climate change. So again, looking to the past to inform the future, which is kind of our overarching theme right now with our research. So I helped to complete some research into the quality sediment samples to analyze. So I don't know if you remember when you were visiting, but you saw like all these little vials of essentially what looks like sand. So those are actually from the Unocal collection. So oil drilling, which this operation was going from about 1890 to 2005. Wow. Unocal had this collection of sediment samples that were extracted from about 8,000 cores, both in the ocean, or right off the ocean and off the coast, and on land. So we're looking into the ones that were drilled right off of the coast of Santa Barbara. So Unocal basically had this huge collection. They actually used to employ micropaleontologists to analyze these samples. And then the story is that one day they just decided they were going to just throw all of these samples away. And some micropaleontologists came in and said, like, no, like, you can't do that. There's actually these are really important. There's important data in here. There's important specimens in here. So the collection was rescued and deposited with the California Academy of Sciences. So we are still working on getting those vials rehoused, taking them out of these gross wooden drawers that have been stored off-site and transferring them to nice metal drawers. And then we're cataloging them as we file them in our collection. So then we know exactly, I can say, oh, I'm looking for this core number and its database. So I know exactly which drawer to go to find it. So that's a lot of the work that I was doing with that. And we're also hopefully going to have a couple more students coming this summer, like I said. So yeah, we have researchers who are going to use this data to understand how marine ecosystems have responded to rapid environmental change in the past and how they can respond to future change. And I don't know if I mentioned the title of this project, but it's the Holocene and Anthropocene as Windows into the Future of Marine Systems. We don't have a catchy title for it yet, so we're still going to muse on that while we're on shelter in place here.
Yeah.
So we're basically, that means that we're going to be utilizing these geologically young marine sediments from the California margin to reconstruct the microfossil response to environmental change. And this work is of particular importance because these coastal ecosystems play a critical role in carbon sequestration, marine fisheries, coastal and economies, and cycling of nutrients. So we are just going to be cataloging, digitizing, and identifying these fossil samples collected along the California margin. And these materials will be combined with samples from available sediment cores to develop a public online digital database through which the research community may access project data and results. Mm-hmm. So that's just a little bit of what we have been working on while we, both before we were on the shelter in place and now from home.
That's amazing. That is a lot of information and a lot of things that you're doing. So out of curiosity, is there a pivotal piece of information that you could share with us regarding these trends and the ecosystem that you're finding?
I don't really have that information. I think it's still being worked on, and so as a curatorial assistant, I'm not the one doing this research, but I'm supporting the research that's happening in our department.
Which is just as essential and vital.
Yes. So we do, the EPIC grant does have a website, which I will send to you to make available. We don't have a website yet for the microfossil grant, but hopefully we will soon.
Absolutely. So then, out of curiosity, how many pieces are in the collection that you specifically work with?
Our collection, our whole geology collection is millions of specimens, especially when you count, the hundreds of thousands, probably millions of microfossil collections that we have and the diatom collection. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't have a firm number for you, right, but I can tell you that it is multiple millions.
Wow. And is there any piece in particular that is your absolute favorite?
I'm kind of I'm more partial to our Ice Age fossils, especially the megafauna, because I feel like that's a little bit easier to relate to. So I don't have a geology background. I don't have a biology background. I have really no science background whatsoever. So I kind of just fell into working in science museums. My background is museum studies and collections management. So for me, not having that background, I find that it's kind of easier to relate to our Ice Age specimens, just because I can kind of imagine, like, okay, yeah, like in the Bay Area 10, 15,000 years ago, these animals were here, they were walking around, they were everywhere. So I'm, I think those ones are my favorite. I think in particular, probably my favorite is our Smilodon from the La Brea tar pits in LA. We affectionately refer to as Kitty. Mm-hmm. Just because it's a really fascinating fossil and just looks really cool.
And that's the important part of the relating to the artifacts, because what's interesting about even my institution is I'm in charge of roughly the same thing. We don't have a specific number, 15,000 artifacts from prehistory to modernity. And although I'm a generalist and I have a little bit of everything, I don't know everything.
Right.
And it's hard to. Therefore, the more I can relate to something, the more meaning it brings to me. And
Right.
the more I can understand how my public relates to it, that is how it's going to get more validity, at least in my mindset, of why I'm going to exhibit something. So I
Yeah,
completely understand.
exactly. And like I've taken those specimens out onto public outreaches, and I think it's just easier a little bit too for like the public to relate to those specimens, because I
Mhm.
think for some people, and even for me, it can be hard to like relate to a specimen that's 70 million years old. Like it's just kind of hard to like picture that in your head and like think of like, even if you see artistic renditions, it's hard to say like this was a thing that existed X million of years ago. But if you say like, okay, this was an animal that existed right here where I'm standing 15,000 years ago, it's just like a little bit easier to relate to.
Mhm. And probably even to digest too, as someone who may not be as palatable to the sciences, or in my case, the arts.
Right.
Um, it's just easier to build that human connection because, again, that's why we exist.
Yeah, and even if you think about like, at that time period, there were humans here. I mean, we had our indigenous tribes here and they were living with these animals. So I think that also makes it a little bit easier to kind of like understand and relate to.
Absolutely. Well, Marie, is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers?
I would just like to share that I hope everyone is staying safe and staying inside. Um, you know, get a little bit of fresh air when you can, go for a walk around your block. But I just hope that everyone is staying safe and healthy, and that hopefully everyone can go back to work soon.
Mm-hmm.
I can't complain that I'm able to work from home, so I'm very, very grateful for that, but I know that there are a lot of people out there struggling, so I hope that everyone is able to get back to work.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're definitely grateful for your time, and we look
Thank you.
forward to seeing the website and what you're doing too. And again, so this is the Evansville Museum recording. And Marie, thank you so much for your time, and don't be a stranger.
Yes, thank you so much, and don't be a stranger either. It was great to talk to you.
Absolutely. Well, bye for now.
Bye.